Welcome to MyLITV, the show that features the people and events that make Long Island great. In this episode, we focus on public health. First, we visit Plum Island and learn all about the animal research being conducted there. In a two-part story, we trek through bushes and into ditches to see how our health professionals trap mosquitoes. We then go into the lab and learn how researchers prepare mosquitoes to be tested for the West Nile virus. Suffolk County Health Services gives us exclusive access to witness the destruction of 16 years of confiscated cigarettes. Dr. Jeffrey Reynolds discusses the importance of parental influence in the fight against addiction. Now let's get started.
I'm Buzz Alder. Welcome to my Long Island.
On the east end of Long Island lies a misunderstood and mysterious place.
There's a lot of stories about Plum Island, and all of them are untrue.
We're not doing secret work. We're not creating Montauk monsters. We're not working with alien technologies or Nazi scientists. All of those rumors have been out there, but those are all completely untrue.
True or untrue, many Long Islanders are skeptical about what goes on in there.
Everyone I said who I was coming to Plum Island was like, "What? You're going to Plum Island?" You know, they gave me the old, be careful, be careful.
In order to ease this negative perception, the U.S. government has opened up Plum Island to the public. Today, members of the Long Island Press Club get the grand tour.
The mission of Plum Island Animal Disease Center is to protect the nation from the introduction of accidental diseases where somebody could bring something in through an airport, or we protect the nation from the intentional introduction where somebody brought in something with the intention of harming our agriculture. We train the veterinarians that do those responses so that they can recognize those diseases. We do the diagnostic work. So if there is animals with diseases that look, that we don't recognize, we send the samples here and we do the testing for that. And then we have the vaccine banks to help respond to that. So we are part of the nation's response to an outbreak of a foreign animal disease.
The primary virus studied at Plum Island is foot and mouth disease. It affects hoofed animals such as cattle, pig, sheep, goats, bison, and deer. The virus is inhaled by the animals and it settles in the lungs and throat where it quietly grows. By the time symptoms are visible in the hoof and mouth, it's too late for the animal, and too often, it's too late for the herd. A second disease being studied is African swine fever. When the virus infects domesticated pigs, there's a 100% mortality rate, and so far, there's no cure. None of the viruses studied at Plum Island are harmful to humans, but you can understand why the facility is on an island.
The reason why we're on an island is for safety, not for secrecy. So we need to ensure that whatever diseases we're working with stay inside the containment facility. That's why we have these security procedures in place.
Some of the security procedures to get on Plum Island include a background check, social security number, proper ID, and you can't be a foreign national.
So all the air is what we call considered single pass air, so it's never recirculated.
The quick tour of the main building left most of us wanting more.
We didn't get to go into the most complex and difficult research areas. We only got into the front door of the front door, where we were given a detailed explanation of how careful they have to be to decontaminate everything.
The bulk of our waste that comes out of biocontainment actually exits through autoclaving.
The rooms testing the viruses operate in a negative air pressure atmosphere. The air pressure outside the room is higher than inside the room, so when a door is open, air is sucked into the room and never blown out. As we drove around and took in the sights, we were informed that any deer that manages to swim ashore is euthanized by federal snipers. An infected deer could swim off the island and trigger an outbreak. Although we weren't allowed into the holding pens where the tests are being conducted, the tour still provided some surprises.
To actually see the real island in its, regular scientific and technological glory of what it actually provides our government, in juxtaposition of what I know of it from a fictional perspective, was very exciting.
I knew that there had been a fort there, but I didn't realize how big it was, and I didn't realize how extensive the buildings were.
I never realized the economic impact of animals on our agriculture and our economy.
An outbreak of foot and mouth disease in this country is estimated to cost $60 billion, because one thing it does is it stops all your exports. So you're not going to be able to sell any more pigs or cattle. Dairy products are all going to be stopped from going to other countries. That's going to cause catastrophic losses to our industries and also to our food supply.
There are over 400 people working on Plum Island, but those jobs and the economic activity surrounding them will eventually be moved to Manhattan. No, not that Manhattan. Manhattan, Kansas.
Because there are so many emerging diseases in the world that we cannot study in this facility, mostly because they are zoonotic. Zoonotic means they can be transmitted from animals to humans. We can't study those in this type of a laboratory. We needed to have biosafety level 4 capabilities to enable us to study these new and emerging diseases that are popping up around the world. We're probably looking at good 8-10 years before we start even to think about transitioning the actual work to the new facility in Kansas. And it'll be a few years of transition before everything goes 100% over there. And at that point, once that lab is fully operational, then this lab ultimately will be shut down.
Coming up next on My Long Island TV, we trek through bushes and into ditches to see how our health professionals trap mosquitoes.
You know what makes Long Island so great? The people, the beaches, the seafood, the pizza. Being near everything fun. No, it's not so great. My utility bills.
Hey, we hear you. It's why AARP is helping our community save money by fighting to keep utilities affordable and helping you prepare for your financial future. Plus, we're connecting with you at discounted events all around town. Hey, if you don't think this is right for me when you think AARP, then you don't know ARP. Get to know us at aarp.org/Long Island.
The Allied Physicians Group is a partnership of more than 120 dedicated, caring physicians and 500 highly trained support staff serving 150,000 patients across Long Island, New York City, and the Hudson Valley. For more information, visit AlliedPhysiciansGroup.com.
Hi, I'm Tom Mealy, and for decades I have been talking to you about injuries sustained in an accident, especially soft tissue injury. And ignoring those symptoms right there is where you make your mistake. Don't waste time with firms that say it has to be broken, can't do it, and don't get it. I've been telling you for a long time, we're not new at this. This is what we do. You want to talk? You give us a call, 1-800-95-NEW YORK.
Between Manhattan and the Hamptons, there's a world of art, entertainment, heritage, and natural beauty to explore and savor. The South Shore of Long Island. The playgrounds and preserves of yesterday are here for you today. Symphony concerts and outdoor festivals, fine and casual dining, nationally acclaimed theater, and 4 seasons of outdoor enjoyment. We're Long Island's sweet spot. Escape for a few hours or plan a weekend getaway. Explore thesouthshore.org.
Welcome back. You're watching the Emmy-nominated My Long Island on FiOS 1 News.
It's about dinner time, and what we're doing is we're going to be deploying traps to make mosquito collections through the evening until tomorrow morning, when we recover the traps, and we're going to use those collections to analyze them for the presence of West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis virus. So this is our undisclosed location. Correct. So what we do is we try to find locations where we can put traps out and reduce the risk of them being tampered with. We generally have 2 traps. So we trick them by putting in a bucket of water that they come in thinking they're going to lay the eggs, and when they lay the eggs, they get sucked up into a trap. The other one is a CDC light trap, and the bait that we use for that is CO2. Mosquitoes sense CO2, and that's when you're in your yard and you're exhaling. That CO2 creates a plume, and they actually follow that plume through the air, and that's how they find you. Off to the next site. This is our second stop, and essentially is the same drill? It's the same drill. You know, we have a gravid bucket here, so we're going to put this on the gravid bucket. Sometimes they get their own little ambiances when it comes to. You can smell it, right? One is special. Yeah, some of them are stronger than others. Oh wow! Now you say you meant to do that? Yes. Yep. That's intentional. You want it to smell. The smellier, the better. Oh my God! Yeah, it's pretty potent stuff. And now we're going to put a light trap in just to see what the general population is doing here. We actually label them, and so people know what it is, because in today's age, when you see something attached with wires that has a light and makes a noise, people get concerned. And there have been instances, not here, but in other parts of the country, where police have been called because they see this in the woods and they think it's a bomb. On to the third site. This location is a red maple swamp. So basically the mosquito that we're after reproduces underneath the tree roots of the red maples. So we don't use a gravid bucket here. Reproduce. There's a small space in here. We'll see if we can find any. There's one right there. You see it? Yeah, it's a little larva. Yep, that's a larva. All you need is that little bit of water. It's only about 2 inches deep and not a very large area, and you'll have Culicida breeding in this area. We are at the fourth and final for this trip, and again, it's a red maple swamp, so we'll only be putting out a CDC light trap. So we're all done, and so we'll collect them tomorrow morning and see what we catch. Looks like we did pretty well last night. That's a good catch. So you can see the mosquitoes on the container here. It's not as heavily caught, so it looks like we caught more in the gravid trap. These containers we can put in a cooler over ice, and by the time we get back to the lab, these guys will have been in the CO2 environment, and they'll actually be sedated. All right, second site. The leaves are wet, so we did get a little bit of rain, but it doesn't appear to affect the catch a little bit, because there's still plenty of mosquitoes in this trap. This is the third spot, and this is where we were bitten up last night. So I suspect that there'll be quite a bit of mosquitoes in this CDC light trap. As you can see, there's plenty of mosquitoes in this trap. They're all on the wall. There's going to be more in the container. Still a pretty healthy catch. Doesn't appear to be as heavy as the last one. We've collected all 6 traps at the 4 sites. We'll take it back to the lab and we'll go through it and we'll see what we got.
Coming up next on My Long Island TV, we join researchers as they prepare mosquitoes to be tested for the West Nile virus.
Hi, this is Kunal Nair. You're watching My Long Island on FiOS 1 News.
In this 2-part look on how mosquitoes are captured and tested for the West Nile virus, we trekked into the woods and swamps to set traps near their breeding grounds. Now that we have hundreds of mosquitoes rounded up, it's time to take the day's catch into the lab for processing.
We're at our laboratory in Yaphank, and this is where we'll separate the mosquitoes and get them ready for testing. So these are the traps that went out last night. They came from different areas in Suffolk County. We're processing the traps, picking out the female mosquitoes. We're going to identify them to species. We're going to then look at what we have in each trap, pick what we want to test, and we send it up to the New York State Arbovirus Lab for testing. These viruses are grown in culture, so it creates a laboratory hazard. So you need special level of lab to do the testing. We don't have that level of lab here, safety level, so we send it up to Albany for the testing.
Are you separating male, female, and breed?
Yes. The females we sort out overall because females bite, males don't. Females need the blood and the proteins to have their eggs and such, so it's the females that do all the work. Yeah. So this is bycatch. You also get moths, so it's easier just to get rid of the bycatch as early as possible so it doesn't like clutter your view. So this just gives you a good background reference because certain mosquitoes have faint bands or specks on their legs. This would be a vexin, so you would just sort him out.
The West Nile virus can't survive within a dead mosquito, so it's essential to keep the insects alive in a dormant state for processing. And every now and then, they reanimate.
And then you can see it, so you got to put them back in the fridge for like another 30 seconds to a minute, and it beats them back down for like another 5 minutes.
We will test for another disease called EE, Eastern equine encephalitis. Melanora mosquitoes carry that virus. They're the vector. So we not only just test for West Nile, but we also will test for EE virus as well.
So much goes on behind the scenes to help protect the public from the West Nile virus. You can reduce the mosquito population around your home by eliminating stagnant water where mosquitoes breed. Dispose of tin cans, plastic buckets, or similar water-holding containers. Remove all discarded tires. Make sure roof gutters drain properly. Turn over plastic wading pools and wheelbarrows. Change the water in bird baths. Clean and chlorinate swimming pools and hot tubs. And remove rainwater from pool covers. For information concerning West Nile virus activity, call your county health department hotlines.
Coming up next on My Long Island TV, Suffolk County Health Services gives us exclusive access to witness the destruction of 16 years of confiscated cigarettes. In Suffolk County, it's illegal to sell tobacco products to anyone under the age of 21. It's the job of the Department of Health Services Office of Health Education to enforce these laws.
These are cigarettes that are obtained during our compliance checks with minors, and all of these cigarettes, one pack at a time, were illegally sold to 16 and 17-year-olds in Suffolk County.
Smoking cigarettes is hazardous to your health, and handling mass quantities is not easy either.
We understand from other counties who have also done this that the effects of the nicotine tend to make them dizzy and nauseous, so we're going to be taking precautions when we cut them up and throw them away.
This represents over 16 years of sting operations. I expected the amount to be a lot bigger, but there's a good reason for that.
We actually have excellent compliance in Suffolk County. The Health Department does a great job. We educate people that sell tobacco products to make sure that they're not selling them to minors, and we have about a 96% compliance rate.
The fine for a first violation is a maximum of $1,000.
Subsequent fines can be up to $1,500, and the vendor can lose their registration to sell tobacco and lottery.
Not every box of cigarettes in the county's possession is getting destroyed today.
Some of the cigarettes are actually still active evidence, so we can't get rid of those until the cases are completely closed.
New York State has the highest cigarette tax in the nation. The $4.35 per pack charge helps drive the cost of cigarettes to up to $14 a pack. Research shows that a 10% increase in the price reduces demand by 4%. In addition, the higher cost is a major deterrent for price-sensitive minors, which is why the team was surprised to see some of the marketing techniques and prices.
This one was sold in October of 1998, $2.75.
This is a pack from 2000. It's $5, and as you can see, it's buy one, get one free.
2 packs of Parliament, $4.60.
This is how many cigarettes it takes to become addicted to nicotine.
Yeah, that's a scale. Breaks right apart.
After about a half hour of cutting and crushing, the stale cigarettes started to affect the workers.
A little lightheaded.
Yeah. Definitely
This stuff stinks.
Maybe it's time to take a break. And the smell is becoming a little overwhelming, and we've been wearing masks and gloves besides.
While this office mostly deals with cigarettes, there are other age-restricted materials they monitor.
There's liquid nicotine, dextromethorphan, which is found in cough medicine. This looks like a lovely box of tea, but it's actually not. It's a product called shisha. And what they do with shisha is put it on a hookah pipe. We actually had one kid recently that went into a tobacco shop and he was offered a bourbon cigar. So not only was he underage to, buy the product, the regular tobacco product, he also was offered one flavored with alcohol.
Well, our biggest problem now is the electronic cigarettes, the vaping has caused a big rise in nicotine addiction. They come in flavors like gummy bear, watermelon, all kinds of fruit and candy flavors. Those products are not aimed at adults. When is the last time you saw an adult smoke a s'more? The tobacco industry has bought most of the e-cigarette manufacturing companies, and they're using their old playbooks from 20 and 30 years ago to addict kids to nicotine so they have future customers.
Got a minute? Because it's time to take out a minute to become a minute smarter.
I'm Dr. Jeffrey Reynolds, President and CEO of Family and Children's Association. You probably know that overdose fatalities on Long Island have reached record highs thanks to prescription painkillers, heroin, and a synthetic drug called fentanyl. In this environment, it's easy to see alcohol and marijuana as being no big deal. At FCA, we often hear parents acknowledge that their teenagers are occasionally drinking or smoking pot. Unsure about what to do, they chalk it up as being just a phase and express relief that their kids aren't into the hard stuff. But studies show that kids who use drugs and alcohol are 5 times more likely to develop an active addiction over the course of their lifetime. Some will go on to use other drugs, but more importantly, even those substances impact brain development, come with health risks, and can have legal consequences. Keep the lines of communication open with your kids and know that you have more influence than anyone else. Use it.
If you have a topic that will make us a minute smarter, email it to aminutesmarter@mylitv.com. Well, that's our show for today. Hope you enjoyed it. You can watch this show and other award-winning videos anytime at MyLITV.com. Remember to friend us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and email any stories you want featured to stories@MyLITV.com. In the meantime, enjoy your Long Island and tune in to see where we go next on My Long Island TV.